One night, he said quietly, "One night, I don't show up and you replace me?" I first noticed her during my evening shifts at Riverbend Diner, a small place tucked between a laundromat and an old pharmacy. She always arrived around the same time, just after the sky turned the color of bruised purple, and she always chose the same table at the back. She ordered one iced mocha and a simple hamburger. Nothing fancy, nothing ever different. She sat quietly, hands wrapped around the cold cup, staring at the door as if waiting for someone she both feared and needed. After about half an hour, a tall man usually walked in and joined her. They spoke in hushed voices, never smiling. Some nights, her eyes glistened as though she had been crying before she entered. Other nights, she stared at the tabletop as the man whispered sharply at her. Everyone had their theories. I simply called her the quiet lady. She was beautiful in a fragile way. Ash blonde hair falling neatly over her shoulders, blue eyes that seemed too tired for someone her age, and a posture that looked permanently tense, as if she was ready to flinch at any second. But that night, something was different. She had been sitting there for almost 2 hours. Alone, the iced mocha had melted into watery swirls. She kept checking her watch, tapping her foot, chewing her lip until it looked raw. The other customers had left. Only she remained. My boss, Eric, came out of his office looking frustrated. "Only her?" he asked. I nodded. "I'll ask her to leave after I finish up." When I finally wiped the counters and turned around, she was still sitting there, staring at the door like it held her fate. I approached cautiously. "Ma'am," I said gently, "I'm closing now. You'll have to head out." She looked up slowly, her eyes glassy with unshed tears. She nodded. When she stood, she stumbled slightly, and I instinctively reached out to steady her shoulders. That's when the glass door opened with a sharp chime. A tall man stepped inside, tall enough to block most of the doorway. He had sandy brown hair, a towering frame, and eyes so bloodshot they looked nearly red. The quiet lady froze. Her entire body trembled. His gaze dropped to my hands on her waist, then lifted to my face, then back to her. "One night," he said quietly, "one night I don't show up and you replace me?" His voice was soft, but something about it made the air feel colder. The quiet lady, Lily, stammered, trying to explain, but he ignored her. His eyes were pinned on me like I'd committed a personal crime. I stepped back toward the counter, toward my phone, but he grabbed Lily's wrist, so suddenly she cried out. "Daniel, stop," she gasped. "You're hurting me," he growled. "Do you know how it feels to see another man touching you? You're mine." He emphasized the last word like it were something permanent and carved. I told him I wasn't calling the police, that I just wanted to make sure she was okay, but he only laughed. "You have no idea what you're in the middle of." Lily whimpered as he tightened his grip. That was when I dialed 9. Then 1. Then Daniel lunged. He snatched the phone from my hand and hurled it across the room. It exploded into pieces against the wall. Before I could react, his fist collided with the side of my face. Pain flashed white across my vision. My ears rang. The floor seemed to tilt. Lily tried to run. I heard the screech of a chair. Daniel roared and yanked her by the hair, dragging her back. Her scream shattered the quiet of the diner. A realization hit me like ice water. If I didn't fight back, both of us would die. I grabbed the cast iron skillet from under the counter, heavy enough to break bone, and crept behind him. Lily saw me and bit down on Daniel's arm. He yelled, raising his hand to strike her again. I swung hard. The skillet cracked against the side of his skull. He collapsed, groaning, blood trickling from his temple. "Come on," I whispered to Lily. "The back exit. Now." We sprinted through the kitchen and out into the cold night air. Lily sobbed, dragging in gasps of breath like she'd forgotten how to breathe properly. Please tell me you have a phone, I said. She fumbled in her purse, pulled out a small phone with shaking hands. I called emergency services and gave them our location. When I hung up, Lily finally spoke, her voice a whisper. I didn't want any of this. I never wanted him. We walked further into the alley, away from the diner's glowing windows. She told me everything. How Daniel had started following her, how he knew her mother's address, how he threatened to kill her if Lily ever rejected him or talked to police. He said he'd feel it in his bones if I tried to escape, she whispered, and he'd make my mother suffer first. The police arrived and brought us back to the diner to arrest Daniel, but he was gone. The front door was still swinging slightly, as if someone had rushed through it seconds earlier. A dark smear of blood led toward a table, where something was scrawled on its surface. Mother suffers tonight, and you're next. Lily collapsed, screaming. They took us to the hospital. I was treated for the blow to my face. She was treated for shock. I never left her side. The next morning, the news headline shook the entire city. Woman found brutally murdered in her apartment. Suspect still missing. Lily's mother, the only family she had left. The details were worse than anything I had imagined. The killer hadn't just murdered her. He had torn through the room like a storm of rage. Bones broken, furniture smashed, and across her stomach, the same message. I'm coming for you. Lily disappeared after that. No more late-night visits. No more iced mocha. No more quiet glances at the door. But I know she's still out there somewhere, living every hour with the fear that a man like Daniel, a man who seemed to walk out of the shadows themselves, would return. Because men like him don't simply give up. They wait. They follow. They watch. And Lily will never stop looking over her shoulder.